This is the 2023 HP Victus gaming laptop. I picked this laptop up because it's actually a very budget offering. I ended up getting it for about 600 Canadian dollars here in Canada off the HP website directly. It will be by far the cheapest new gaming laptop that I've reviewed on my channel. I recognize that a lot of the times I do review very halo expensive items. A lot of people just can't afford that type of laptop right now, especially with inflation going up and prices very expensive on the new 2023 releases. So while this is a 2023 model, it actually uses slightly older parts. This one here has the rebranded AMD CPU. In this case, it's the 7535HS. It's actually just a rebranded 6600H, which is actually quite a good CPU still. So for the CPU here, you're going to actually get really good performance, and you're still going to also have good battery life and good thermal. The GPU in here is a little bit strange because it's actually somewhat of a rare GPU, I guess I'd say. That's the NVIDIA RTX 2050 mobile. It's actually based on the RTX 3050, so it's very similar in terms of GPU. However, the memory bandwidth is half of the 3050. So you're not going to get the performance of the 3050, but it will be in the same tier. This one here didn't ship with, impressive specs, and I kind of anticipated it to be kind of garbage, and I thought, I'll try it out and see the review. But actually, I'm quite impressed with this laptop for the price. And while this is certainly no Halo product, I mean, you're not going to compare this with, the $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 Legions that I cover on my channel. It's not meant to be. This is, like I said, this is around $550 to $600 Canadian, which is probably around $380 to $400 US. It's actually able to keep up in very, very modern games, and actually, I found it to be quite a good, compelling option. At the end of this video, I will have a gaming section as well, and that's what probably a lot of people are coming for. You can look at all the build quality and all that kind of stuff, but if it doesn't perform, then it doesn't perform. Okay, so here's the charger. It's actually very light. It shouldn't be super high watt, I guess. Well, it's 150 watts because this thing weighs nothing. Interesting. And it's, the barrel plug style. It's not USB-C or anything, but I'm surprised how light this is. Okay, and there's the laptop itself. Again, the Victus lineup is one of their gaming lineups, but it's their budget gaming lineup. It's not going to be like the Omen, which is, their more premium one. But the Victus, you can actually get pretty high specs on them. That's actually a plastic lid. Interesting. So it's going to be very plasticky, obviously. Again, this is very budget. But plastic lid. Feels like good plastic, but it is plastic. Nice little decoration there. The butt has this kind of weird vent intake kind of thing. Yeah, not too bad. Honestly, it's actually kind of nice looking. It's fairly reserved for like a gaming laptop. A lot of the times these, especially budget gaming laptops, are kind of over the top. Whereas HP, I find that their gaming laptops are not over the top. Like the Omen is also pretty stealthy. Plastic bottom here, big feet actually. And this is kind of it's very raised up there. Weirdly, I can't see into this vent. Okay, and there you go. There's the reveal. So yeah, plastic deck again up here, but it's a nice plastic. It's a hard plastic. Screen 16:9 aspect ratio, not 16:10. So you get a bit of a a bezel butt there, which raises the screen up again a little bit. So you can see where it's not as premium as some other ones. So left side ports here, we have the barrel plug input there. We have a we have a USB-A there. It says power, so it's probably going to be like an always on port. Microphone, headphone combo jack. Actually, it has an SD card. That's kind of cool. Right side, USB-C right here. Also has a power symbol. This one might be actually supplying power as well. So you might be able to do power delivery over that one there. RJ45 Ethernet, so you actually get that. It's a full-size laptop, so yeah. USB-A again, and then HDMI there. So it's very limited in ports. There's nothing on the back, as you can see. So you get USB-C, USB-A, HDMI, and then one more USB-C. So you're only one more USB-A. So you're only getting one USB-C on the whole laptop, two USB-A. It's open there on the back. It actually blocks a little bit of the intake, which is kind of a little bit of the vent there, which is weird, but it should still exhaust fairly well. Vent goes all the way across there. Almost looks like a little jetpack on a mech or something. 2,200 grams. 2,200 grams is the weight here. Let's go to, there you go, for the Americans. All right, so we'll open up the bottom here. There was just 4 screws on the front here, 3 on the back, nothing crazy. And I just took my little guitar stick style pry tool and went around the outside and popped it off. Okay, there's a look inside. So we can see here where the NVMe goes, there's a thermal pad there to help with cooling. The ventilation there, so there's obviously 2 fans. There's obviously a lot of room for a bigger battery in here. They could have put a bigger one in, but I guess that's, saving some money here for sure. 52.5 watt hour. Actually, it's not terrible. I mean, the 2050 is not going to be a super high demand GPU, and then the CPU here, the 6600H or 7535HS, whatever you want to call it. It's not going to be draining a ton of power out of that CPU either, so it should be decent. I mean, bigger would be better, but it should still be decent nonetheless. Upgradable Wi-Fi here. This is a MediaTek chip here. Wi-Fi 6 speeds, totally fine. NVMe slot here, so you can see there's a single NVMe port right here. Western Digital here, I believe it's the SN810, so it's a Gen 4 drive. It's actually pretty quick. I'm getting 5,000 megabytes or so of speeds, so that's actually a pretty good drive right there. No second NVMe slot. It looks like, in theory, there could be a model that maybe, it says SSD 2 right there, but there's nothing actually wired up. So in theory, I guess they could put in a second NVMe on some of these models here, probably using the same motherboard. They would just wire up an NVMe there. So you get one storage, unfortunately, only. Dual heat pipe for cooling here. 2 big fans, actually. So you get you're going to get a lot of airflow, actually. Nice, very, very dense fins there. So actually, all things considered, this should move a lot of air. They probably use the same cooling solution on more demanding setups as well. So nice fans there. So this model here ships with a single stick of 8GB DDR4, but it's dual SODIMM. So obviously you can upgrade that. So even though you only have single NVMe, unfortunately, you do have dual SODIMM slots. So it's easy enough to take this up to 16GB, ships with 8. Just put in another 8GB and there you now have 16. But of course you could put in 16 and 16 and get 32. And this one you can do, it's kind of like, Lenovo has the Vantage, Asus has my Asus, and also Armory Crate in the same laptop for some reason. MSI has MSI Center. I'm doing something. So you can do some optimization in here. So for example, you can do this. It says it runs faster, but whatever, it doesn't actually run faster. It just gets rid of a lot of junk running in the background. So you can see here, you press that and it gets rid of a lot of basically junk that's going to be running in the background. This has 8GB of RAM, which is not enough. You're going to have to upgrade it. But you can disable all this background junk here. You can get rid of all this junk here. So you can go manual boost or whatever. Very good. And it does its thing, and you can see, boom, the RAM actually went down quite a bit there. Down to 4GB. So this is actually a neat tool. I wish other laptops would have this because you can close these things yourself, but sometimes they just reopen. It's nice that you can basically kill them off right here. And performance control over here. This is, a lot of laptop manufacturers have this, gaming laptops at least. Default is kind of mixed. You can go eco mode, which will basically minimize the amount of power that you're being used. Quiet mode will be kind of in the middle, I would say. And then balanced. This is just kind of like average or whatever there. You can actually just max the fan straight up. Interesting. Okay, it's around 50 or 60 or so. It's 50 there. Turn it up a bit. It's 100 there, so pretty loud. It gets loud for sure. The mic will just normalize it, but you can maybe tell by how loud I'm talking. Yep, so it sounds totally fine. There's no bass, like at all. So, you're not going to want to listen to like heavy bass-based music, but, for media consumption, it'll be fine.
Whipping skellies, baby. Hell yeah. A text box has appeared as if from nowhere. What? A horrible, I gotta be honest, this is looking bad so far, night to have a curse? Well, that's cryptic and spooky. Okay, jokes aside, here's the first big mechanic assignment.
Yeah, so it sounds fine. Again, there's no bass in the music side of it, so you're not going to be thumping trap music or something like that. The reds are a little muted, but actually not that bad, to be honest. It's actually not terrible. It's a little bit muted on the red side, a little bit leaning towards the orange. This is not a super color accurate screen, but it's actually not bad. You can see here there's zero bloom. I'm in a fairly lit room, but still. There's zero bloom around here, none at all. And then you go to the blues, nice vibrant blues, very, very vibrant blues. Some greens here, the greens look good. Nice greens. Yellows are nice. Yep, as expected. The only problem that I have is that the red's a little bit lean towards orange. It's actually not bad, to be honest. Sometimes these budget gaming laptops, or just budget laptops in general, when they don't have, a super high-end screen, they look horrible. This is really not that bad for a 1080p screen. I mean, not color accurate. It's the reds are where it's hurting out, but it's not bad. Honestly, it's not that bad. Not a high refresh rate screen or anything like that. So, I mean, there are some compromises being made here. I mean, it's a 60 hertz refresh rate screen, 1080p, but I mean, it's not bad. You have a 2050, so you're not gonna be pushing 80 FPS anyways, and brand new Armored Core and Hogwarts Legacy, that anyways, you're gonna be shooting for 60. So the keyboard, I mean, the deck is plastic. This is a plastic deck. However, it has like no flex. Like, I can really press on this. I'm a medium to large human, and I can, press pretty hard on this, and there's no flex. When you're actually just typing on the thing, there's actually no flex. So for a plastic, like I said, this is a plastic laptop, but it's not cheap plastic. There's different types of laptops, materials that they make it of. Sometimes the plastic just feels cheap and like, I don't know, it's thin or something. This is a thick plastic, and it doesn't feel cheap at all. Like, it took me a minute. I mean, I can tell it's not metal, but if I were to just walk past this laptop and pick it up real quick and do some inspection, I wouldn't just be like, oh, it's a plastic laptop. It actually feels pretty nice for a plastic laptop. But let's type on it a bit. You get a full-size numpad, which is really nice over here. This keys aren't minimized in size or anything like that. Full-size numpad to the side there, a little bit of separation. Yeah, decent. Honestly, it's a chiclet style, not the biggest, largest keycaps you can see there. They're fairly low profile, but the travel is decent. Nothing abnormal. I don't have any problems with the keyboard. I could type on this all day without any issues. Obviously, it's not a glass trackpad or anything like that. Feels nice and precise. Yep, no issues with that. Nice solid click. Actually, that right click's real nice. Decent enough trackpad. Again, so keyboard and trackpad, totally fine. No complaints whatsoever. Not the best in the world, but absolutely no complaints. Here's a look at the built-in webcam. Actually, it's way better than I anticipated. It's actually pretty good. A lot of times these gaming laptops have really bad built-in webcams with no contrast. I think I did the MSI Vector, which was like a $3,500 laptop, and its webcam was pretty bad. This is a good webcam, actually. It looks pretty good. If you're doing the video conferences, video conferencing, learning whatever you're trying to do, this is going to be fine. If you're recording a video for someone, it actually looked good. Like, there's no trailers or anything, no like trails behind anything I'm doing. The movement looks pretty good, so the polling rate is good. Yeah, it's actually a pretty good webcam, all things considered. Okay, I'm running some Cinebench here, and let's check the temperatures real quick, obviously on CPU. Typically, if you're running a game, CPU and GPU at the same time, it might draw a little bit more heat, but it's doing totally fine here. Max is not bad. The fans aren't even going. At least I don't think they are. It's very quiet. Like 33. And yeah, I mean, it's not getting hot. So the cooling solution will obviously kick in a bit when you're playing games. And here's a look at some synthetic benchmarks. We can see here that I have some Cinebench running here. We're getting a multi-core score of 8,600 or so, which is pretty good considering it's only a Ryzen 5 from last generation. So you'll be able to do productivity work, coding on this, video editing, no problem. And you can see on the right side of the same screen that the temperatures are actually quite good. Even the maximums are not even getting up to much above 85. Battery life tests here. So the first one here is just on idle. And you can see here that we're getting at 88% battery, we're getting 7.5 hours left of projected battery life. So, on idle, it's going to get extremely good battery life. You can see we're only draining under 6 watts. And then here I'm doing some 1080p 60 video. And you can see here, this is all done with maximum brightness, and it's not on battery saver. It's just done on better battery mode. And you can see here at 87% battery, we're getting 5 hours, a little over 5 hours of battery life. So even with 1080p YouTube, 1080p 60 YouTube, we should be getting 6 to 6.5 hours or so. And then I did some Crystal Disk Marks cores, and you can see here that it does have a Gen 4 drive, so we're getting good speeds out of that Western Digital SN810, almost 6,000 reads and 3,000 or so writes. So it's going to be very, very nice quick drive for day-to-day tasks and even more intensive tasks. Lastly, here I did some Wi-Fi tests. You can see here that I'm getting 555 download speeds and 470 on uploads. Expecting out of my Wi-Fi, so very, very good Wi-Fi here. This is medium, 1080p, and we're at like 100 FPS. So I mean, this game runs well. I don't know what it was talking about. We're gonna be able to turn up the settings quite a bit. It's annoying because I have to restart the game every time, but we'll just give it a quick run on medium here and just show that we can get extremely high FPS. So, sure. I mean, a 2050 is not a super high powered card, but it's easily able to handle Forza Horizon 5, obviously. So 1080p, high medium mix. So high textures, everything else on medium. Native, no DLSS, and I mean, there you go, there's your 60 FPS. If you haven't played Red Dead Redemption, you actually can't play at 60 FPS on any console. PS5, Xbox Series X, it doesn't exist. You cannot play this at 60 FPS on anything but PC. So I mean, if you want a really budget way to play this game, here's your 60 FPS, right? Throw it on a high medium mix and away you go, just play the game. And have a blast. And we'll set the max to 120. This game actually you can't go above 120, which is a little odd. We're not gonna hit 120 anyways, so 1080p high presets. And again, this game came out like 3 days ago. Look at the performance, right? Like, this is a 2050 laptop that people may say, oh, it's just... And like, look at this performance here, right? Incredibly well. You can see here, we're having no issues whatsoever, even in these very open areas here. Lots going on. So, I mean, the 2050 is up to the task here again. Brand new game, like just a few days old. But let's check out the noise here. You can just see how quiet this laptop is. But TAA on high, and yeah, that's probably fine. No scaling or anything like that. I mean, spoiler alert, it works fine. I've been playing for hours. Turn the sound back on. So, I mean, it looks great. 1080p, you know, it's just shy of 60. And if you haven't played this game and you think, well, you can't play a game above 60, well, you can certainly play Diablo. You can certainly play Baldur's Gate 3 below 60. With balanced DLSS. Personally, I was just playing with it off. 45 FPS was fine for me. But you can see here with balanced DLSS, I mean, you're getting above 65 here. Over in that other area where there was all that fire and that, it was running a little lower. Where else can we go check out? And, you know, 66 FPS or whatever. This game, you may look at this and think this is, you know, super easy to run. This is not an easy to run game, not by any means. With so we'll do no scaling at first. We'll just get a baseline as, you know, just seeing how it runs. So texture quality 0.5. Get out of here. I'm gonna go higher than that. So we'll go with high texture quality. Yeah, you can see it's running amazingly well, right? 50 FPS. Again, not an action game, not a competitive FPS shooter. You'll be fine in Resident Evil playing at 50 or 60 FPS. And yeah, you can see how good the performance is here, right? This doesn't seem to really be causing too much of a problem. And we'll just keep going higher. This is even higher now. So now we're on high 2 gigabytes, and we have mesh quality up to high as well. I still think we're going to be fine, to be honest. Yeah, so I mean, so you want to play Resident Evil 4, and you have this super budget 2050 laptop, and 1080p basically just like throw it on high and away you go, right? So 1080p original. 1080p original, looks like you're going to get about 47 to 50 FPS or so. So, if you're looking for like a pretty good fidelity mode, this game looks amazing on original, by the way. You don't even have to turn it up. But yeah, you can see here it's running just fine.
Thought we were going hunting.
Basically 1080p original, and away you go. As long as you're okay with, 50 to 60 FPS. You can see we're up to 60 here. Some demanding areas, it dips down to 45 with the smoke and that over there. But if you're okay with 45 FPS to 50 FPS, you just play on just originals, play it. Or you can, turn it up here. Turn a little bit of DLSS here.
You miss these.
I spent several days with the HP Victus here, and I've actually been using it for, for just day-to-day for typing and productivity tasks, and I've actually been doing a lot of gaming on it. My takeaway, honestly, it's totally fine. It's actually a decent laptop. I expected this thing to be complete garbage. I expected to have a horrible keyboard, horrible trackpad, very low quality build quality, terrible screen, and perform like crap. And all of those things are the opposite of the truth. Keyboard is totally fine. Trackpad, totally fine. Build quality, despite being plastic, it's actually pretty nice. I mean, it's fairly sleek. Like, look at that. It's a sleek looking laptop. It's good plastic. That's what I'd call it here. It's not cheap feeling plastic. The internals are good. You can upgrade both RAM slots because it has dual SODIMM. NVMe can be upgraded, of course, Wi-Fi. The cooling solution was fine. I also found that it ran very, very quiet and cool in gaming. The 6600H or 7535HS in this case is a cool running chip. So it's performant, but it doesn't run hot. So you actually get good scores, good performance and all that kind of stuff, good gaming performance, but it doesn't run noisy. The 2050 as well is not a noisy chip. It's not a hot chip either. It runs at fairly low wattage. So I found that this thing was very quiet, even when it was going on full bore. Now, the gaming performance, I mean, it's not going to beat out a 4060 laptop. It's not going to beat out a 3070 laptop. That's not what this is here. It's a 4GB chip. For 4 gigabytes of VRAM, so it's going to run, similar to like a 3050. It actually is a cut down 3050. So basically think of the 3050. I found that to be true. This performed very similar to some of the 3050 laptops I've tested recently, minus, 10, 15% performance or whatever. Totally viable in modern 2023 AAA gaming. I threw brand new games. Some of these games came out in the last week or even the day that I got this laptop. And I threw them at this laptop and it ran totally fine. 1080p, I mean, you're going to be trying to chase down probably 65 to 80 FPS depending what you're going. In a lot of cases, you can turn those settings way up at 1080p, above medium, sometimes high, even ultra, and you're still going to get 55 to 60 FPS, no problem in a lot of these very demanding titles. And then of course, because this is a 2050, it's not a 1000 series, you have access to DLSS. Say you're at like 45 FPS in a very demanding title with very high settings. You want a little bit more, throw on a little bit of DLSS and away you go. So my overall takeaway, I would not buy this laptop for full price. Like, I think it's listed on the HP website at like 900 Canadian dollars, 1,000. You can get better laptops for like, I don't know, 100 to 150 bucks more. However, for when these things go on sale, you're looking at 550 to 600 Canadian dollars. That's like 400 US dollars, 450 US dollars. It's kind of a steal. Like, what else are you going to buy? Some really crappy low-end business machine or a used device, right? This is a brand new device that's fully capable at a very good price. And it is quite capable for 1080p gaming. So I expected it to be not good. And I expected it to be not good even at that price. And I got the complete opposite. It's actually a fairly nice device overall. And then if you compare it to the price of it, it's actually kind of a steal, to be honest.